The asset management.
All right. It is. You ready? It's 4:02. We'll call the meeting to order. You got one down there? Okay. Thank you. Sorry. We'll go over department reports.
The only thing I had on here, everything else Commonwealth's going to deal with, but I just have a single invoice that I want to go ahead and get approval since we're here for Jordan's apprentice tuition.
Oh, yeah.
Would be okay to go ahead and get that paid out. That's all I've got.
Okay. Jordan?
Nothing, routine maintenance down. Started working on the lead, got that done, in good shape, nobody's been going well. Using them all, and pretty heavy, so it's actually not about cost. But that's funny for us.
Bathroom's done up at the
We
park.
got some seals, I sent out an email, I recommend everybody to listen up to the office, so we got some seals. Tonight, you are going to face some leaks, so we got all the tools with, the sinks, little water lines underneath the really long, so shouldn't be a real major fix, so I think we tired of those and so we will get the first thing off, which is the operational plan.
Good deal. All right. Moving on to business guests. Commonwealth.
So, just as a kind of general point, it is getting the town gives approval for loosening up the SRF application. And before we go through and do that, we wanted to go through the entire remaining scope from the original PER and just talk through all the items. There's the obvious ones that the town wants to do, which is the filter media replacement, but there's other things that were identified that ultimately if the town does not want to do these, we can easily take them off of our finally designed project. It's just a matter of what the town wants to pursue, and we can order these out and prioritize them accordingly. So briefly, proposed phase 2 is how we're phrasing it, and we have water supply improvements. The well number 2, well is currently just exposed to the elements, so we had identified in that PER to essentially construct or drop a prefabricated building over the top and enclose it. So provides climate control and extends the life of the pump, so it's not just exposed to the sun and weather and the freezing. Previous operators have noted that they've had a heat trace, some of the piping out there, but it's still frozen. So this will eliminate that issue. We also identified well cleaning and inspection. This is for both wells. The town is coming up on that point in time when we would want to clean and inspect those wells. Raw water quality is tied to both your wells and your filter. Usually you do both kind of at the same time, so we included this as a understanding that if we wanted to address any sort of breakthrough through the filter, you start at the well and you start with the well. Before I move into I have the proper treatment plan, any questions on those two? Okay, we move forward. For water treatment plant improvements, filter building, this is the building with the actual filter inside. We had filter media inspection and media replacement. This is just the filter media at the time when we were there was due to be replaced. So this was identified. Additionally, the current existing filter operates pneumatic or air valves. They've been having issues with them. The previous operators have been having issues with them not fully turning, and the compressor that's used to actually turn those valves was had broken down. Yeah, it's broken down. It's a double motor, and it was never alternating, so that motor just completely burned out. So they're running at additionally, some valves over the time period were replaced with manual valves. He was having to turn these himself whenever he did the backwash. Jordan is here. I do want to ask because we still need to confirm some of what the previous operator has stated. Are any valves, you need to turn any valves when you're doing the backwash?
Not at the moment. It's a 9-step program that's on that panel.
So feasibly, this is something that could be removed from scope because it was not needed. Additionally, we have roof replacement, ceiling tile replacement, and LED lighting within that building. When we had first inspected it, the roof was leaking, the windows were leaking, and there were some patch jobs kind of done to keep it together, but there was also water leaking into the actual lighting on the roof, which is a hazard. That's kind of the reason why we identified just going through doing a new roof for that building and redoing the lighting in that building just so we could ensure that it's back up to code. Additionally, exterior windows were identified in there. In that, a lot of the exterior windows, you can see the streaks on the corners. They have been leaking for quite some time, and they have been at least foamed up for now to prevent temporary leaks, but still a problem. SCADA upgrades. This is a communication system or control system for the plant. This is a quality of life sort of thing. If there's ever an alarm at the plant, it would send a notification directly to Jordan. And that was the primary reason we wanted to do this, just because if you ever have a plant go down and you don't have a proper notification, the only time you hear that is when people start sending out water. So that was one of the primary reasons we use this, because it's just we have issues at a plant, so it's you have to address them at a time. You don't have something that's going to tell you that something's wrong, then you're not going to know until.
And we've never had that in place up to now.
And what's that communications that we have now?
Wastewater.
Huh?
We use that SCADA for wastewater.
Then we have something about the water tower,
We have SCADA that monitors the water level, and we also have SCADA.
but nothing at the water plant.
Just on and off, well, number 1 and 2. There's no like.
since you were gonna throw, I'm sorry, if you were gonna throw a code or anything, if there's, possible chlorine maybe for something like that.
Okay, you don't have
We
that.
don't have any. of that. We know if the well's on or off, and we also know the water level in the water tower.
Okay.
It does turn into a little bit of a safety thing, because you tie it into a chlorine tank, if he does have a chlorine tank, he's not walking into a plant that is potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
So it's an important safety procedure, I think for Jordan as well. Treatment building improvements, this is just, another safety item, emergency eye wash station with an actual treatment building with any chemical storage, you need to have eye wash. It's been slightly updated, but, you're not technically supposed to have a eye wash within the chlorine room. If you have a chlorine leak, you're supposed to just get out.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
You're not gonna stop and say, oh.
So the eye wash
let's
is in,
first
the
while
eye wash is in there.
So there is an eye wash identified, and then, hot water heater for the actual, eye wash, just so it's tempered water for when they're washing their eyes. So if you ever, have to do a cold shower, you will need a hot bath, so having tempered water is not a necessary requirement, but it helps with people's reaction to that, also chemical exposure.
Can I stop right here? Just install emergency eye wash stations in chlorine room and chemical room. Didn't you just say
Yes,
having one in the chlorine room really isn't?
during design, this is one of the OCRs we figured out, doesn't need.
That doesn't need to be there.
So that, this is one of the updates.
Okay, very good. I see, I'll just mark that.
Thank you.
Rather than, I will know, we do not have an eye wash station out there. We do in the office up here in the utilities building, we don't. And the last time I looked up the IAC code from IDM, they tried to pass it where, I didn't correct me if I'm wrong, they tried to pass it where it had to be in the chlorine room. But I think now it's just a requirement that has to be within.
Well, on the chlorine room and the chemical room, two separate places. So,
Yes, yeah,
well,
that's
then,
also
I
a
mean,
requirement.
I can see one in the chemical room, but like he said, if you should get out, you shouldn't be stopping and washing your eyes, so.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The chlorine room has to be separate from the actual
Okay.
chemical room as far as we're willing, the one is. So if we have one in there, as long as I am just okay with that and not this put one in the chlorine, I don't know why, like she said, I don't want them to do that. But we don't have a kind of eye wash.
Okay. For some reason, I was out there not too long ago. I thought there was one, I saw it somewhere, but. I don't know.
It might be one of those old bottles where it's like.
It could be.
I thought there was a little sign that said eye wash station somewhere, and it may have been something as simple as one of those squeeze things. But I thought I remembered it, but I'm not saying that we don't need one, I just.
No.
Not
I was just making it clear that we don't have one.
Thank you, thanks for clarifying.
Thank you. Chlorine room expansion, this is one of those items where, previous operators know that the chlorine room is just tight, moving around them. If it's absolutely needed, we can go through with doing the expansion, we've already gone through design and it's already ready. If you want to keep it, you can, but this is one of those items that. So, Jordan,
As long as we have proper ventilation and they're okay with that, because they require you to put that from the bottom of the floor.
yes.
The top vent, which we dealt with this winter, we were throwing a big stick about that because we were covering it with foam because it was freezing. And also I spoke about possibly spray foaming or doing something to keep that somewhat climate controlled, AKA not freezing busting. We want it at the deadline. So, if the ventilation is working, we have that vent. And definitely if I was okay with that too, that's another thing. So, yeah, it is tight quarters in there. We do keep a good, reserve of chlorine gas, which will start to actually deplete once it starts coming up and moving on. And right now we're on a day-to-day basis, we're testing right around 1.7 to 2, where we've got a pretty good residual as part of pre, and we're on now, so, and, explain all that, I forgot what your actual was now.
Root expansion, so is there sufficient room to do the work you do today now?
Well, as far as the chlorine goes, yes. I believe so, because I also think that from another safety standpoint, like we're talking about, the one that's separate. If there's multiple room, then something happens, and multiple people get hurt. And unfortunately, you won't say it's just one guy. I'm not saying it's just one guy. But if there's another guy standing in the way, then one guy trying to get out, that's not another step we could have to think about. Like she pointed out, is if you smell it, I'm drinking obviously. But if you smell it, you're just gonna get out. And we, of course, e-stops and making sure that we can shut everything down. And it does have injury tubes, so it's not just backflow. Our actual system it does have a safety protocol for it, where if it does step, we could roll or
What I do want to kind of give them there is where the light switch that can on ventilation, now is properly operating. And we did have heat and redoing the ventilation in our electricity bill, so it's not great.
I'd like to see an automatic, because it seems like the on-off switch is, like again, another step. It's something that, if you have it tied into some sort of PLC, you can, when you detect a leak or something, just haywire, it'll automatically either kick the vent off if it needs to vent the room, because there is a screen on the vent, that too on the outside, and it'll vent that room, it'll pull fresh air from that tube that's going on forward, and sort of on the wall, close to the floor, and vent that room. So, if something like that is opposed to a manual switch, you got to think about reaching out and turning it on or turning it off. If you have something like that for safety, it's not 100% necessary, but I get where you're coming from too.
Yeah, it's, just outdoor access going on there, there's the emergency light, so if that thing is off, people use it, and they see that, thing out the way.
So you're talking like a smoker system, like you would put on the inside or whatever, if it's protected.
Yeah, so all we do is, you have the gas filter now, all you do is you tie that to the pulse system, and you tie it to the line. So you have a visual view, and we can tie it into your actual network, so if it gets to the oxygen level, it'll get that.
Perfect.
No, it's not, people, it's very nice when it does like that. Additionally, we had repainting of the actual room itself and repainting of that transmission piping in that building. I saw in the recent inspection, you guys had repainted that, so this just needs to be tossed.
For the transmission piping.
Yes. Last item on this page was DAC work, so the DAC washer doing cleaning and running. One of the recent inspections found that we had a higher element iron content in there, and that they would recommend cleaning those lines out. It's around the time frame when you would be cleaning those out. Instead of ball, essentially scraping out the bottom and then relying on geotex out. That's pretty much it. Okay, Bridgewater treatment plant improvements. So this kind of expands on what the SCADA system will do. In addition to doing a full SCADA system for notification, adding a lot of these sensors throughout your plant, so you have more information before you even get there. So essentially your SCADA system would be kicking alarms to your, if it's your chlorine system, or if it's your filter, or it's your wells. It have a lot more information to give you. So when you're going there, you have an idea of what you need to do rather than, okay, it's spinning this alarm, let's go down the entire, let's go through the entire thing and figure out what the actual issue is. So it's more information, but it's additional costs with all the additional sensors that need to be installed to do this. Okay, that covers the plant. Are there any questions on the treatment plant or just general content scope?
On number 6,
Yes.
you had also replaced damaged windows.
So another portion of this was the previous treatment plant. Yes, treatment plant windows, the one that's been damaged. We've been in that building for times, and they're not 100% damaged, and they don't appear to be leaking at all. We've already gone through design of doing that. They're in there and they're ready to be bid, but we recommend just keeping it as an internal. You don't need to be ordered.
Okay.
Yep. Distribution system improvements. This was one of the previously identified items. Throughout your system, there are quite a few hydrants and isolation valves that are old or need to be replaced, and then there's some spacing requirements for IAC standards. And this pretty much gets you up to code and replaces a lot of those damaged or old valves or hydrants. That was the primary intent of kind of this mandatory alternative. It would need to be updated for what we've determined is operational from the current construction project. We're finding that there's a good chunk of it's in good working condition. Originally understood. Or the original operators have conveyed to us. And then last item was storage tank improvements. The only thing we had there was a road hatch replacement and then just a general inspection. The most recent sanitary survey or item inspection, which is part of town is kind of due for a storage tank inspection, but I recall talking with the previous operator that one had did it. So I'm not sure if that was just a full inspection by item or if one has been done. Yeah. No.
Don't believe so.
I think so.
That was-
I have a question. Real quick. This is the water tower, right?
Yes.
We have a stirrator on there. Are you familiar with the stirrator? I was told earlier that that may not work because of electricity. Is that true? Okay.
Yes, you're tank mixer.
There was, yeah. What was it? Was it stuck on or was it not working?
Well, I think, we couldn't get anybody to do electricity and they had the people that, was it Mainstream or
Somebody.
somebody do it. I think it was like on the outside. So, kind of hokey. Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be something to look into.
I don't
But,
know.
before it was calling him all the time. I don't know. Does it call you all the time now?
No, the only thing we get is the, F1, out of the wastewater plant. I'll ask, cause I do remember you bringing that up a couple times with that story. I'm waiting for, was it stuck on or was it, I was thinking it was stuck on.
I thought Kurt was saying that it just wasn't,
Wasn't.
because it's supposed to break up the ice.
Agitated.
Yeah, I think it was.
And when it would get cold, that's when you kept getting alerts
Right,
that
maybe
it
it was
wasn't
something with electricity.
to keep it.
I can look into that. Okay.
It sounds like it's just, getting code from the bottom. You know what it is.
Yeah, I think there's something with electricity.
Yeah, so part of the reason why we kind of identified the riser hatch, a lot of tank inspectors, tank workers nowadays are, if you don't have the hatches that are OSHA compliant, they're just you know, it's a safety thing. If they can't get through the hatch, they have to pull something. It's not big enough. It's a safety concern and it's just anybody who's dealt with confined space on it's and if you get trapped in there, it's so that's kind of why we just included it because get it done now so that in the future if you guys do need additional work, they're not.
If you want water subsidy truck, that,
Yes.
it's a full people, could that also be something looking into after replacing or before replacing the putting in the hatches? on that building. We included that cost, and that's what's there, it's about this, is it 24 inches or? Yeah, 24 inches. Yeah, it's,
Same thing goes for the building, you know.
At the end.
Yeah, the hatches into that, and the side of that, tank, they're all like the kind of fortune by it. You need someone who's maybe 10 or 12 years old that can cross.
perfect.
Yes.
Right size.
So a lot of times they'll pump everything, and then they'll just do the hatches all. So that cost was already kind of included there, for which. Next portion of this is just kind of phase one work. This is kind of everything that we're doing as part of the current project with 352, the 6-inch main west bedroom, and the 10-inch south tower and the 55, and then light service and work. One replacements.
I have a question.
Yes.
On that second phase, I didn't see this. We were having trouble down there early on before we got even came. At West Benton 252, that seemed to be a lot of leaks, and I thought that was on phase 2.
We can, well,
No, I thought it
we can
was.
definitely get it included.
Well, no, I thought it was included in something, because that was a big problem.
What we're currently doing is we're working through the budget area and that's what the 3,000 is.
Sure.
What we want to do is, excess contingency fund, we want to use the fund to do that now. We're getting some clarification. The biggest part of the money is that's what it's on. Yeah, a lot of contingency. And then best sort of news, the town doesn't have a lot of that, there's not a lot of replacement. So what we're finding is a lot of these 4-inch mains are either galvanized steel or they have those left port joints like we discovered in South Michigan. So we want to see if that's what we're just paying for doing that replacement out of that file money.
Mm-hmm.
If not, we want to make sure we check how much contingency we have to see if we can get this done.
Yeah.
Worst case, we'll get it included here. So
I guess I'm at 352 and 55, right?
yeah, then I think it's fast.
Yeah.
They don't even have the service lines, like they stop and do the service lines. That's ridiculous.
Like this permit comes there for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
just in case there's more problems, just throw them back on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, we'll make sure to get that approved. So,
Right.
kind of the point of this is, for the proposed phase 2 project, the town has wants and desires. Is there any way you want us to kind of organize these or any other things?
So I guess in my mind, the few things we're talking about removing. So section B, letter C, replace manual valves, that's gonna be pulled
Yes, that can be.
by what Jordan says, not being a thing. The chlorine room, eye wash station is a removal, right?
Yep.
And then the room expansion. I guess on something like that, like Jordan said, he's fine with it being the way it is. What is, I mean, obviously you probably don't have the numbers right now, but what kind of, how much cheaper is it gonna make it, right? That's the big, that's a big question. If we're talking pennies on the dollar for these things, like the eye wash station and stuff like that, like that's nominal. But adding onto the building, like what kind of monies are we saving in that realm? I'm just curious about, as well as, the
Damaged windows.
the windows and then
New
the repainting. We are still replacing the flange bolts on transmission piping though, correct?
No, that's okay. I'm not.
Or no?
I know you're
That
not.
was the previously we covered everything, so that's.
Okay. So the bolts don't need replaced. Okay. So that, and then removing the repainting, is that also a thing or no?
We can remove it.
I was asking, I wasn't sure if that was something.
Or was it something already?
They
done?
did.
They
I
did.
think at this,
Yeah, we did the drawing, and then everything else, I didn't know that then. So whatever was,
Is there anything out there, Jordan, that you're, like off the top of your head, you're like, hey, this looks rough, like it could use that?
Worst case, if the town's supposed to be paying, I have to expect something. That's easy.
Right.
So these are easy items for you know.
Right.
I see where Nate's coming from. I mean, if it's 1%, then go ahead and do it. If it's 15%, then maybe we hold back. I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Over expenses, it's
okay, it would seem so.
The chlorine room itself has special requirements because.
Right.
Specialty materials, make sure they don't corrode.
Right.
Keeping it in mind.
Okay,
It's a healthy.
so if we could knock number 4 out, which it looks like we could,
The
then that's gonna,
room expansion and yeah,
So then-
well, all of it, I guess.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be a,
What are your concerns about removing all of that, if there are any?
So I don't necessarily have any concerns. The only one that I would have concerns about is just repainting, but that's just because, you want to keep a good consistent pattern. Keep everything. I've walked into plants, where it has eaten through concrete and it's just been coated in 10 years.
Okay.
That's the only real good barrier we can sell.
And I can't imagine painting would cost a whole lot. So if, I mean,
I'm with you.
leaving that on there,
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah.
It's journal lines are points and, five of them are legal, that's when we were stolen. I don't think we're stolen anything too much.
well, it was, it was a good job.
so just leave that on there.
We can leave it on.
The paint.
What I think the best thing to do is we can just reorganize these.
Yeah.
What we want to do with the application, we want to make it as appealing as possible. So we'll keep these items, but in design, I could switch these around so that when we get bids in, we do the work that the town really needs to do and wants to do.
First.
And these can just be managed. So.
Perfect.
And then
Well,
you
we're
can
on-
hone some things later. After the fact. Right.
Yeah.
I just to throw that out there because I know this has been talked about in the past, the water tower itself and the repainting.
Yeah,
And
that's not what's gonna come up as the retaining of the water tower.
And also,
And I don't know if that's something that would
And
be in the
there
scope of
thought
this, but-
that Rick was thinking that there's lead underneath there.
And
Yeah, I just have to look into.
It's actually old,
I
potential.
don't think, I don't know what the top layer is, but I think underneath there, because it said they're gonna have to.
So they don't have to.
Oh,
So.
okay. She
I
kept
know
saying-
or Ballard had theirs tinted and then sandblasted and
Yeah.
with the
How
diaper
close
and
it is to just homes and everything, you have to.
Yeah.
The houses, cars.
Right.
Usual setup is like 3 times 10 height.
Yeah, I think Rick was telling us that
Yeah.
it's been painted too many times and they're gonna have to strip it. I don't know if that's the thing.
Sandblast,
And if you have lead, that's gonna create a problem. Correct.
so that big one, they put that up there. And it's, pick up all paint scraps and send them out to a waste facility. So they go. That's usually the minor part of the cost, the biggest part is building the tank, that's all, so $150,000. If the tank isn't set up to do it immediately, it's. But it's well known there for the roof joists, so they can attach the curtain. It's great, it's a cool process, it's just, it's time consuming and it can be expensive.
Or just to see what that would cost.
I just wanted to remind the council of
If
that.
that was something that, yeah, that'd be something.
Yeah, I can reach out to you, local members, so I think you guys have probably fit for the time. They do, too.
It's been a long time, I don't remember.
But I've got a few, I'm actually. Yeah, do you want me to know? Because I can get cost very quick.
I mean,
Yeah,
it needs to be done, yeah.
yeah.
And then because you guys did talk about the riser hatch replacement, because that's a OSHA safeties. One of the things that was mentioned previously too was we have a hard time getting anyone to come out and inspect because we don't have a cage around the, yeah. And I don't know if that's even,
Yeah, if you don't have like safety cameras on the center or something else. Struggle sometimes. No, I've got Lisa Cross for doing those two items, so I can get those. So, coin room will shift down our, storage tank, I'll get you the updated costs. Are there any items on here that you're questioning or things that you think we can, take another look at? And some of these are quality of life.
Right.
With previous operator. It's just a matter of making, once we go through getting things, buttoned up. That's what I think they're going to, even confirm that with the because shift this down, shift this down.
Yep. That works. That's it.
So, we go over? Very good.
I guess I'll wait.
If you have, we have an estimate cost, I know you've got to refine these numbers, but you can estimate cost and then we'll, if we,
Yeah, just an idea.
we gotta get this in, I think we gotta ask our like.
So page 6-6, it has the current expanded cost. I will say a good chunk of this cost is associated with the housing price station, 1.35 million from the original estimate. So that's already shuffled down the list. This is significantly less expensive. For total, roughly updated cost is 4.5 million. Reason for this, which is after we do our updates, a little bit either reduce down or settle out. Some of the original costs have just gone up. Since we assembled this portion of the report. But we had good environmental construction teams today. But current estimate is 4.562 million.
But we don't know specifically like how much it would take off to drop out the room expansion and all of that.
So room expansion, don't officially quote me on the number, but it's around 110,000, just the contract it was, that it's gonna say a different chunk.
Okay.
That takes out percentages of everything else.
Okay.
So it will say a good chunk of budget, it's not doing those portions.
Riley, can you explain how this 4.5 million covers all of these costs? But then, does the town have an opportunity to pull away some of these costs as we move forward? We're not committing, we're just asking for this money. I don't know how to explain how they can potentially further reduce the scope cost if it's.
We're asking SRF for 4.562 million doesn't mean we're using all 4.562
That's where you
million.
said we can hold it down after the fact.
Yes, so part of design and what we would do is we send a contract out, we send a manifold alternate. And during the bid, those are items which the town can pick and choose. If we want to do these, it's a cost control measure, but we can use it as a measure to control what we do. So the town says, okay, we just don't want to do this, we don't. And that's how we can kind of control this cost a lot more. So it gives us the opportunity to still apply and ask for a good chunk of money to do everything. Absolutely, it's not do everything. But if we just want to fine tune that down, we have the ability.
now with the costs that are in here, are some of these costs the costs that we already have incurred and are setting?
So
Okay.
specifically design costs, because those are the ones that currently being upheld, under the Army portion. Effective in that cost, which is a little bit additional, sort of cost. Most of the stuff is already done. We've been sitting in the, proverbial shelf for some time.
Yeah.
Just waiting for RD to get, waiting on the town's decision. If we have it. So it's just a matter of updating contract documents and some specs on my end, and that's very minor. You know, the actual design process. So it does give the county the ability to recover all that that's been spent. Thank you. Any other questions?
I do. So if we were to hone back some of those costs, fine tune it, as you say, if we were to repaint the water tower, that's not included in this, but could that monies that were saved on fine tuning be applied then over to the painting? Because sometimes Tina said some money can't always transfer from one thing to another.
So, that's a great question. So for SRF's, standard, it has to be addressed in the report, so we'd have to note it in the report and then actually include it.
Okay.
Worst case, if it's something that we find out after the fact, we
And you did say you would look into that, so we can add that. Okay, great. I didn't know that.
No, of course. What we can do is if we find out after the fact, we just go through the amendment process. That's rough. It's 1 to 3 months, how responsive they are, and we can spend an amendment after the fact. They're very amenable with that process.
So you can still meet Maureen's date line and still.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so worst case, if it doesn't get addressed now, we can just go after the fact.
Okay.
We've done that quite a few times.
All right, April 15th.
Yeah, so if we don't have it here necessarily, and we have a find that we need to do it, you just touch base with me and we can go through the process. That's not a problem. But thank you for the question.
Tina knows that SRF wants to know what you're spending your money on. So they don't. You can't get a notice and not gonna hand you $400 and say, do it whatever you want. Tina knows that, you can account for everything before potentially being spent money on.
in the breakdown of where and, yeah.
That's all you got?
Few other ones. I know we had might actually be on the 10th agenda.
Yeah,
Public hearing.
yeah, it's on the agenda.
I mean,
As for just this related report, that's all I have at the moment. So we'll be going through and just making a final updates, and go through that process. If you think of anything in the next few days, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I can get something in here quickly, just so it's lit. So,
Okay.
don't hesitate to reach out, please.
When you for us to sign this, if we can get this done by Monday.
yeah, I told Tina earlier, I'm available whenever Monday.
Slide over until Tuesday.
We'll make it.
Okay, that's the extension here. We're making it Monday.
Tuesday's fine as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would rather make it Monday.
No, yeah. Tuesday's fine as well. Do we have any public comment?
The camera on,
Yes.
you're ready.
Okay. New business, the SRF signatory resolution.
So, given Tina a copy of that.
Yep.
We're asking the council to vote with the authorization to sign this application.
I'll make that motion to have Nate.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to a public hearing date.
So this is just a mandatory public hearing, that's our request that we demands that we present this project in a public forum and take comment. And so it's allowable to happen after the deadline. really with the deadline, they understand. There needs to be time. So we would like to have it done in April. If you are willing to have it done for your April 20th meeting. Because the legal notice must go in the paper, and there needs to be 10 days between when the legal notice appears and when the public hearing can actually occur.
It'll be on the sixth, that I'm doing on the sixth.
We don't have a time yet.
No.
Oh, yeah.
The 10 days.
Oh,
between-
gotcha.
And I think you're advertising the Baton Review, which only publishes on Wednesday, so it just is like time would not work.
So the 20th would work though.
You can have it anytime, you don't have to have it before town council meeting. If that's convenient,
Would the 20th work?
it would work for us, and yes, it's
Yeah.
not too late for us to have like 6:30 and have your council meeting at 7.
I think if people are interested,
That'd be
you're gonna
fine.
be more likely to have them come in than
Yeah.
some random time, because they're geared to the first and the third Monday.
Yeah, let's do, yep.
And and Tina and I looked at the legal notice together, and I think I presented it to your last meeting, so I'll put that legal notice in with that review. I'll check them tomorrow. Deadline is Friday at noon, Friday at noon.
I believe so, but that would even,
And so it can either
think
go
even if-
next Wednesday. or
if it gets
May,
into the next
you
one,
know.
yeah.
All right.
I'm always afraid. We've had situations before where the newspaper said, yeah, we'll run it, and they didn't. So I'm just like,
You can
That
get, yeah.
gives you two opportunities.
two opportunities, yeah. It's about.
USDA loan response. This is the loan response. I know Tina emailed it out if you guys want to look over it on paper.
And in essence, it says, and then the money for us, just a little bit longer. So rural development has committed a loan to the town. And they're putting pressure on the town, and saying, take a loan or not.
Right.
So in essence, we're saying, can you give us more time? Can you give us the time to move through
Current project.
the current project? Absorb the rate and everything else that comes with it, and then we'll let you know by the end of the year, when the current project, we think will be completed by the end of this year. So I think that they just want to know, are you going to spend or not? I think that they'll be amenable to this request. And then if the request is okay, we can send it on your behalf, or we can let Nate send it, or Tina send it,
You can send it.
or whatever you want us to do.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say anything.
No, you're fine. Can I get a motion on that? USDA loan response.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second
All in favor? And can I get a motion to approve the Alliance of Indiana Rural Water invoice
I'll make that
2330?
Also.
All in favor?
Aye.
No old business. Any around the table council member concerns, comments? Okay. Riley, I did have one. I spoke with the guys about it earlier. So there was an incident, not an incident, but a situation earlier today that kind of brought this to my attention. Who did I speak with? I can't ever remember his name.
Lance.
Lance. Yes. So the way that Lance made it, had explained it was that spot specifically with the shared meter was kind of lower on the list just to try and spread the money out as far as possible, right? Because that's going to be a little more expensive than normal to dig into and split those 2 meters. I know I've talked to at least 2 of the board members, and Tina and Cindy, if you don't agree, by all means speak up. But I think that with the situation at hand, not only with that one, but my understanding of the town having several addresses that have meters that are split, as well as several addresses that have meters inside of the private residence. We just want to make sure that those are the priority over everything else, right? Before anything. So we need to make sure that those are taken care of because those are actual problems currently. Having meters within residences that we've had to petition the courts to get into residences to shut people's water off and that sort of thing. So those are a priority over everything else. When it comes to meters being replaced, as well as the split meters in town. And do you guys have a list of those?
So we talked about it at the construction meeting, Alex is going to be drawing up a list of what they've seen today. So we have communicated that they are a priority. The only special case is the contaminant soil. I want to check with that one first because if we're going to be digging in the contaminant soil, I want to make sure that they're not going to push back and sending contaminant soil into soil.
Okay.
Because it's going to be a high cost.
Sure. I just know it's going to have to be dealt with at some point.
Yes.
So I don't want to run out of money and then us be stuck with a joint meter. And the only reason that really came up is because they're actively trying to put a restaurant into the Dadage's old building. And that was what was brought to the attention today and why this even come about today. I was like, oh, it kind of fits, you guys are here, so I'll just bring it up at the meeting. But regardless of that incurring extra costs, it's going to have to be done.
Absolutely.
So
So we're keeping an eye on that, just to make sure that we have the available funds to do that.
Okay. I just want to make sure that it is done ultimately.
Yeah, that's been a source of frustration every
I've been
year.
hearing about this for years.
Yeah.
Before
What's that?
The whole, split meter and,
Okay.
yeah, this has gone on for different reasons for the last years. It needs to be fixed.
It's a demand problem, because it's not like it's a one-inch service getting two sponsors, same size.
Right.
As soon as both people are using the same service, you want it.
Right. Right.
So it is on the list of things that is a priority.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was the Atlas knew and didn't suck the money dry, and then we're stuck with still having
Yeah.
shared meters and meters under residences that we've got to petition the courts to get into. So those two things are the big ones.
Yeah. I will say there's some complications for people who's doing the inside expenses, just because if they get, some of them have rejected right of entries, it's only like 5 people, but they have rejected any sort of right of entry, so they're not even get access to property. So that,
Can we get a list of those?
it's like,
Okay, because they might be somebody that we
Because-
talk to or
Yeah.
people know.
yeah, and we understand that the town's ownership goes up to the meter and includes. But we'd be modifying it so that it would be shipping outside and then now some of it more and it's kind of a great area. If we had a right of entry, it would be, get that moved and a lot of places. People are not moving, just getting these like this.
Hello?
Correct.
But some people just don't want, and it's, that's.
Yeah, if that does become the case, and we know that any of those properties that are denying the right of entry have meters within the home, we're gonna have to do something on our end legally to be able to get those meters out. So if,
Some other communities have made ordinances that require that.
That just seems reasonable to me.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
From a
know.
maintenance standpoint, if I have to go through and mess the insurance on, it doesn't make sense. That's
Correct.
No,
And I totally agree. I don't know what happened.
It just so happens that one of the individuals within the town that owns property within the town is dealing with that exact issue at 2 of their properties. So they own 2 properties, one of which is on contaminated soil and has a split meter, and the other one has a meter inside the residence. So,
I don't think they get it, right?
Yeah. yeah, he's okay with it.
no, it's halfway there.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring that to your attention to make sure that
We have better inside.
I don't know off the top of my head.
That's the one thing I do not know. I don't have a list. I don't have documents.
30 to 50,
Really?
Indoors?
something like that.
We're already accounting for the good chunk of them.
It's just their law.
I had no
Well, I didn't
idea.
know there's that.
I thought it was like
There-
five.
There's some that kind
Yeah.
of makes sense, the firehouse was the two inside. Well,
Sure,
That, you guys have access to that. because,
sure.
uh,
Yeah, we own the building, so.
Customer. and-
Is there a list of,
Assuming it's got a list. So,
properties without meters?
Yeah, this is really all.
That's why people would know.
Mhm.
I got one. How many shared meters do we have? How many?
I think there's like a dozen. I think I've provided that list.
I gotta be proper.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta get going.
I'll make sure it gets addressed.
Appreciate you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you need me to sign this or anything?